that genuinely made my stomach turn.
The Audi Q3, it's a car of many talents. It can be used to ferry your family about, it can be used to get that essential shopping, it can also be used for the dump run.
Oh, and it can do this. That's because this isn't an Audi Q3. Oh no, this is the Audi RS Q3, a product from the Audi Sport division. The exterior has been given a healthy dose of steroids and it looks mean. It looks like it wants to hurt you. But more importantly, the firepower has been increased. So under the bonnet, I have a 2.5 litre, 5-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine, the same engine used in the Audi TT RS and the Audi RS3. And yes, it's quite potent. More specifically, it offers 400 horsepower along with 480 newton meters of torque. This power is fed to all four wheels using Audi's iconic Quattro system via a 7-speed S-tronic automatic gearbox. Despite this car weighing around 1700 kilograms and a relatively tall body shape, this is able to hit 62 miles per hour in just 4.5 seconds. In a family SUV, this car is bonkers. The top speed, as you would expect, has been limited to a very dramatic and precise 155 miles per hour. However, if you pay Audi the lump sum of £1,600, then you can have it increased to 174 miles per hour. I actually did some calculations and that works out at £84.21 per extra mile per hour. Value. This engine, it feels really, really muscular. And the torque band is really wide. You start to get the maximum torque from just below 2,000 revs and it goes all the way through to around 6,000 revs. So pretty much no matter where you are in the rev range, you can ride that wonderful, glorious wave of torque. And this car, it really doesn't hang about. The engine is responsive and it sounds absolutely fantastic. This engine really is impressive, but I suppose it ought to be because it has won International Engine of the Year 9 times in a row. And to make it sound even better, this car, as an option, sorry, I was really enjoying that corner. This car, as an option, has got the RS Sports exhaust system, which I believe is around £1,000, and it gives you black exhaust tips and, of course, a fruitier tone. Now, just listen to this. Put it in RS mode, get the valves open on the exhaust, and I don't know about you, but that is borderline pornographic. Dirty Audi, complete smut. Audi Sport, you are smut peddlers. Oh, but I love it. There is a downside though, and that's to be found under the car. Because of increasingly stricter regulations on emissions, this car has had to be fitted with one of these, a petrol particulate filter. It is essentially the same as a diesel particulate filter, and its job is to trap soot and pollutants to make this car greener. That does of course sound like a good thing, but there is a compromise. This engine has lost some of the crackles and the character it used to have, and to be honest, that's quite a big shame. Now, as much as it is a shame those crackles have gone, let's put a positive spin on it. Audi could have easily, I don't know, put a 2 litre in this and downsized the engine, but they've decided not to. So yes, the noise isn't quite as emotive as it used to be, but at least we still get to enjoy that lovely 5-pot engine. As much as I like this car, the gearbox does niggle me a little bit. Now, if you want to take over the paddles and change yourself, you'll find the changes are seamless and smooth. That is good. What isn't so good is that the gearbox can be just a little bit slow sometimes, particularly when you've been cruising for a bit and the mood strikes you where you want to mash the accelerator and all of a sudden you've caught the 7-speed S-tronic napping. It's almost as if it's just having a nice little snooze. What's going on? Let's just take over on the paddles. Now, I must admit, the changes via the paddle shifters is quick and it is seamless. You can barely feel the changes. Now, this car starts at around £52,700, but this particular one has been peppered with a few options, one of which are the carbon ceramic brakes. Put the anchors on. Oh, my face is about to be ripped off. Now, I would argue that carbon ceramic brakes on a car like this is a little bit overkill. I don't know how many RS Q3 owners will be taking their... I thought I hit that pigeon, just missed it. I don't know how many owners will be taking their car on track. So, bearing in mind that the carbon brakes are around £4,500, I would urge you to put your money to better use. The stopping power is incredible, it really is. Now, just to give you an idea of just how good these brakes are, so doing just below 60, there's nothing behind me. Right, 60. Oh. Oof. That genuinely made my stomach turn. Oh. That has recalibrated my senses. As you would expect from any sporty Audi, there are, of course, a choice of driving modes. So you've got Auto, boring. Efficiency, super boring. Comfort, boring but useful sometimes. And Dynamic, oh yeah, you also have RS mode. So on the steering wheel, you have a button marked RS mode. And within this, you have two separate settings, which are adjustable. So if I wanted to have the engine and gearbox in full attack mode, but I wanted to have the steering and the seat and the suspension in comfort, I could do so. Or if I was feeling a bit odd, I could have it vice versa. So I could have stiffer suspension, heavier steering, but have the engine and the gearbox in comfort mode. Well, not comfort mode, but in docile settings. Don't know why you'd want to do that, but hey, horses for courses, you can do that. Once again, it's time for Ask Aaron, the segment in which you guys get to ask me questions about whichever car I'm testing, which this time is of course the Audi RS Q3. So let's kick things off. Would you have a manual gearbox if it existed? Well, to begin with, this was a very easy answer. Yes, however, the more I've driven this car, the more I think actually, if I were to buy this car, I can only dream, and it were available with either a manual or the S-tronic, I think I might actually go for the S-tronic. Yes, it can be a little bit slow to wake up, but when you're really going for it, just having those paddle shifters is quite nice. It just feels a bit more race car. Would you buy one? Well, as I said a few moments ago, I can only really dream of buying a car like this. But if I did have the money, I don't know, this isn't the type of car I would normally go for. However, I am starting a family, so this would be the kind of perfect one-car garage, if you ask me. Okay, you've got the Audi RS6, but that's more money. So it's really difficult. This isn't the type of car I'd normally buy, but the more I've driven it, the more I've grown to love it. So, I don't know. Yes, maybe, no. Next question. Is the handling still a bit woolly? Well, I never drove the old car, so I can't make any comparisons. What I will say about this car is it is very capable in the corners. It's got lots of grip, the body roll is well controlled, but there is a little bit of a problem. The steering, in my opinion, is just a bit numb and it doesn't offer much communication. So the steering is woolly, yes, the rest of it, tip top. Has it got any fake grills, vents or exhausts? It has, if I'm going to be honest. You've got a fake vent at the back, and although it looks like it's got double exhaust pipes, if you look in them, you'll see that those black exhaust tips are actually fake and there's real exhaust pipes inside. So yeah, there is a little bit of fakery here, but you know what? I really couldn't care less. Economy. Economy. Good one. No, seriously, joking aside. This offers 28.8 mpg on a combined run, and it emits 223 grams per kilometre. There we go. Economy. Out of 10, how do you rate the inside? I think I'd have to go at a solid 52.5. Oh, sorry, you said out of 10. Well, 10. How stiff is its suspension in day-to-day driving? Well, in comfort mode, it's very compliant. I think you could drive this every day without any real issues. However, when you put it into its more sportier setup, and it does become quite jiggly and unsettled, it is worth noting that this car does have the optional adaptive dampers, which I would recommend you get. If you buy this car without the adaptive dampers, then I think you'll probably find it a bit too unsettled. And last but not least, the starting price. Well, that is £52,740. Anyway, that's Ask Aaron, done and dusted. Goodbye. Now, as you would expect from a car like this, the ride is firm, but thankfully, as another option, I have the RS Sport Suspension Plus option. That is a bit of a mouthful, and in essence, it gives me adaptive dampers. At this moment in time, I am in full attack mode, so the ride is firmer, a bit more jiggly, a bit more unsettled, particularly when you bear in mind this car is riding on optional 21-inch alloys. However, if you want to slip it into comfort, like so, the ride becomes compliant, really malleable and easygoing. So although I wouldn't recommend the carbon brakes, because I personally think that's a waste of money, I would recommend this option because it really makes this car Jekyll and Hyde. If you want to drive a long distance and you want to make this more into a waftsmobile as opposed to a B-road destroyer, then you can pop it into comfort and you could almost be fooled into thinking that you're driving a standard Q3. I'd say now is a good time to speak about the handling. As you would expect, this is a relatively high riding SUV, although the ride height has been chopped by 10mm compared to a standard Q3. But even so, there is still a bit of body roll. That isn't a complaint, by the way, that's more of an observation. I wouldn't expect this to corner flat like a sports coupe. That would be silly and unfair. Having said that, this car is very capable when the going gets twisty. Of course, you've got the Audi Q3 system. Now, this is the Haldex style, therefore, for the most part, this car is front-wheel drive. But when the car needs a bit more traction, then of course it will send some power to the rear to make it all-wheel drive. Now, I've driven a few Haldex systems, and I normally find the handling to be a little bit safe, a little bit too neutral. This car, on the other hand, it feels a bit more playful. I don't know if it's because I've driven it differently, I'm not too sure, but in the corners, this does feel more entertaining compared to, let's say, the Audi TTS I had last year. I don't know whether that's because this has got the 5-pot engine, but as mad as it sounds, I've really enjoyed my time in this, but in the Audi TTS, I didn't. As standard, this has got the RS progressive steering, and in essence, it adapts to your driving conditions. So when you're just pottering around town, it will make the car easier to manoeuvre and to navigate tighter spaces. But when you're out on a nice road like this, it will provide more stability for your cornering, which of course is a good thing. I have no problem with the weight of the steering. The weight is quite nice, but it does feel quite numb and quite woolly. It just feels kind of dead in my hands. The only way I can get some kind of communication with the steering is via a seance. Come on, speak to me. Come on, give me something. Come on. No, it's no good. Lights on, but nobody's home. Now, the exterior may be wonderful to look at, but the interior is even nicer. Just look at it. Just take a few moments to feast your eyes on this cabin. It is very, very pleasant, to say the least. You've got plenty of Alcantara on the steering wheel, and on the dash you've also got a carbon inlay,
okay, that is optional, but still, that looks really nice. And of course, you've got these wonderful front sport seats, which are finished in fine Napa leather. They've got red honeycomb stitching and also Alcantara accents on the side. Very nice. So nice, in fact, I will take a seat. As standard, you also get the wonderful Audi virtual cockpit and the very pleasing to use 10.1 inch touchscreen. This, as standard, has Bluetooth, smartphone connectivity, DAB radio and navigation. I've also got front and rear parking sensors, reversing camera. I've got heated front seats, dual zone climate control, although this car does have 3-zone climate control as an option. And of course, I've got drive select as well. This car, the interior is really nice. The Audi virtual cockpit is actually RS specific, so I've got some extra goodies. This can do your lap times, which seems a little bit redundant, but hey ho. This also can do a G meter, an accelerator measurement, and it also has lap statistics, which for a car like this, I know it's a performance car, but who is really going to be taking this car on track? Anyway, horses for courses. Now, getting a good comfortable driving position is easy. The steering wheel, as you would expect, adjusts for brake and reach like so. And both the driver's seat and the front passenger seat are electronically adjustable, so you have very good adjustment there. In regard to practicality, that is pretty decent. The door bins are of a good size. I've got my bottle here, that's 500 millilitres. I've got a bit of space left over. 2 cup holders in the middle. You've probably already spotted my Costa cup in there. Hashtag no ad. Although Costa, if you're watching, you never know. There's a slot down here where you can pop your smartphone, and this actually has wireless phone charging, which I believe is an option. You've got a cubby hole down here underneath the adjustable centre armrest. A really little cubby hole here, perhaps you can pop some loose change in there. One to the right of the steering wheel, and of course you get a glove box, which isn't massive, but you can fit a few things in there. Right, let's move on to the rear. Now, I'll be honest, I thought the space in the back would be a little bit cramped, but in fact it is pretty generous. As always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I'm 6'2", so I am of course a taller chap. Let me step in like so, take the weight of my feet. As you can hopefully see, I've got a good amount of knee room and a good amount of leg room. I can also fit my feet underneath the seat in front of me, even though this is set to its lowest. Better still, the back of the front seats have been sculpted in such a way that you have extra space for your legs in case you need it. That is pretty handy. Headroom is also pretty respectable as well. I've got about maybe 2-3 inches left over, so that is quite impressive. The only downside is it does feel quite dingy back here because of course you've got this black roof lining. So if you do have a bit of claustrophobia, you may feel a little bit trapped back here. Could you fit 3 adults in the rear? No, 2 adults will be absolutely fine, of course. And if you're concerned about fitting child seats, this is a kind of a family car, then there are, of course, ISOFIX points. In regard to practicality, you've got a bit of netting on the back of the front seats. You can pop an A to Z in there if you're still a bit old-fashioned like that. You've also got door bins. So I've got my bottle in there, that's 500 millilitres, that fits in just fine. This car has also got the 3-zone climate control as an option, so we've got those controls down here. And you also have a centre armrest for added comfort, as well as 2 cup holders which open like so. Put my bottle in there, bit of squeeze, but it does go in. So I have to be honest, I'm quite surprised, pleasantly surprised of course, by the space back here, because I thought it would be a little bit more cramped. Now, it is worth noting, if you go for the Sportback version, which is the sporty coupe version, then you will lose a bit of headroom because, of course, the roofline is lower. But if you go for the standard car, even if you're tall like me, you have plenty of space. Anyway, let's have a look at the boot. Whether you go for the standard model or the Sportback, you'll get a boot which offers 530 litres with the rear seats up. Let me show you it by lifting up the power assisted tailgate like so. And there we have it, 530 litres. It is a pretty big boot. The opening is nice and wide as well, so if you wanted to load bigger, heavier items, it should be easier to do so. You have a hook either side, so you can hang up a bag of shopping, and you also have a 12-volt socket down here. Of course, if you need more space, you can fold down the rear seats. They are 40, 20, 40. By doing so, in this car at least, you'll get 1,525 litres. In the Sportback model, that has a lower roof, don't forget, you'll get 1,400 litres. The boot is practical, don't get me wrong, but I do have a complaint. You can't fold down the rear seats from here. There's no lever that you can operate to put the rear seats down. That may seem like a minor complaint, but I do find it a little bit annoying that you have to go into the back and fold them down from here. Yes, okay, it's not exactly a hardship, but come on Audi, get your thinking caps on. This is meant to be a family car. Look at the time I could have saved if I just had a lever here, but I don't. Come on Audi, help me out. So there we have it, the Audi RS Q3, proof that SUVs don't have to be boring or generic or vanilla. This is a car where you can really have your cake and eat it because you have the practicality of a family car, but the performance of a sports car. Yes, I know it isn't exactly what you'd call cheap, but think of it this way, you don't need to have the sensible family runabout and the weekend toy because this car is both cars combined. Therefore, it's value for money. That's not really working, is it? My point is, this is an amazing car with a very high breadth of ability. And would I buy one? Oh, I don't know. It's really appealing. In fact, Audi, can I just keep this? I've got the key. You know, you don't have to come back and get it. Just leave it with me. I'll look after it. Please. Come on. Please. Please, I beg of you. Let me keep it. It's not working, is it? Oh well, you can't blame a fella for trying. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.